Hey, everyone from archives, probably. It's just
Oh yeah,
setting it up.
set the audio for the Discord to be on the speakers.
Well, it should be, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Time for my lunch.
Output to this one. Speaker will take any other functionality.
Have your phone ready. I'll text you if your audio should. If I'm downstairs eating.
Okay.
I don't want to run all the way down upstairs just to open the doors.
But yeah,
and
so
do a face reveal.
so is this one like?
Huh?
This one?
Yes. Always in real time.
Eat.
Eat.
Hey, for those that might be popping into chat, we are on the Discord. You can join developer streams, and we'll be chilling there. Got a chat message. Oh shoot!
What?
The stream has a different link now.
Oh, correct. Well, if you do that, I'm gonna go eat lunch.
Whoops! Alright, see you. Well, hopefully y'all should be able to see it now. I'm gonna delete the old link with my actual Aaron account. Give me a sound off if you can hear me in chat. I'd like to know if my voice is audible. Nom nom nom. Okay. We'll see. Dev misc streams. Just gonna get rid of this. There we go. Can y'all see me? Hey, we got Fahad. Who that be? Wait, Fahad. Is that your same name in Discord? I'm probably gonna chill for like 5 minutes until I'm triangle. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna chill for like 5 minutes until we can get more people in. And yeah, we're gonna be going over basically just variables today. We're gonna go over what type of variables there are, the different scopes you can use them in, built-in variables, variables that are like IDs of objects, example. But then in the end, we're gonna do a platformer. So I'm gonna build like an example little platformer game, and we'll hopefully that'll be educational. How's my voice coming through? Did you understand what I said just fine, or is it too quiet, too loud? Like, how's the volume for the music? Is it okay? Ooh, so sour. It's sour. Pretty good, Suzuki. That's good. Awesome to hear. Rise it up. My mic volume? Okay, my mic's up a little higher. Music just a bit higher. Alright, it's a little bit higher now. We got this community going on. We got the power of the streamers, the watchers influencing the volume. A bit lower for music. Okay. How's that now? Let me move this mic a little closer too, since it's just me sitting here. I mean, that'll probably be a lot louder now. We'll see. are really sour. You probably wouldn't think so, LG, but they're sour for me. Alright. You got these little sweet tart, extreme sour as they're called now. The taste bud killers. Yeah, let's try a different song that's more active. How's that volume now? This is a good bass line right here. And it looks like it's a little bit quieter than my mic. That's good. Testing the volume. Is that good, guys? Is anyone here in chat? Or is it just lagging so much that it's not streaming anymore? Like I can't tell if I'm streaming or not. Is anybody there? This is Nature Region Shop Theme. I think we do have some kind of elevator music though. Let me check it out. Amaranth minigame elevator. What's up, David0000? Here's the one I think is funny. What's up, Real Little Penny? Hey, I'm glad you could join us, man. This one's made by Ode. He didn't work with us anymore, but he's a pretty cool music guy. Good old that one's Diddle Shadow Region. Alright. Well, it's 2:05 or 14:05 if you go by that time. I have to get used to that. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I explained earlier that we're primarily going over variables today. So that's gonna be like just variable scope, instance, local, global, that kind of stuff. We got variable types, whether it be string, integers, whatever, or what they call as real. How you can use variables for like sprites, sounds, objects, the camera. We're gonna look over a lot of built-in variables. So yeah, and then finally we're gonna do an example platformer project that hopefully won't take too long, but we'll see. I'm not gonna make it too complicated. Just gonna get some like collision with the ground, collision with walls, gravity, and then like little platforms you can stand on. Be like, we'll see if we can do all that in one stream. I'm just like torturing myself with sour candy too. Okay, one more time though. Audio's real good. Everyone's all right with audio. Don't want to like be streaming all of a sudden like, dude, we can't hear you. I'm completely bad at this. Well, that's no good. LG says it's good. That's good. Responsive time. I'm gonna clap. Right when I clap, somebody say a message. 3, 2, 1. Ow! That hurt way more than it should have. Boom! Alright. That's the latency, guys. Clap. G. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I went ahead and popped up a example, well, not example, like just a blank project. Oh, can I full screen this? Oh shoot. It appears not. Stop the current and just cancel. Alright, well I tried all the F buttons. I don't know if there's any way to full screen this without like the bar at the bottom, but whatever. So, variables. So, I'm first just going to talk about variable scoping. Let me just create an example little object real quick so we can just like look at it. I'm just going to call it controller. I like to call things controller if they're like the first object or is used to like just modify code in general. What engine are you using? This is Gamemaker Studio 2. If that's what you're referring to. That's the IDE. So variable scope. So whenever you're creating just variables inside an object like this, so if I made like health, how about HP equals 100. So you'll notice on my screen it turns blue. So blue in this example that I have is what's called a instance variable. So if I go over to step and I start referencing HP, so it'd be like if HP is equal to 100, do something, then it's gonna work just fine because HP is a instance variable. So that means it can be used anywhere within the instance. It doesn't matter which event it's in. Now there's two other types of scopes, and that's a local and global scope. Now global, as you might imagine, can be used anywhere. So if I did global dot cool meter equals 100, it's 100 out of 100 cool meter. So I could create another object, for example, object cool. I could give it a step event. Oops, sure, begin step, doesn't matter. And I can say like if global dot cool meter is equal to 100, do something. But I couldn't access HP. If I did HP here, it would throw an error because it's not within this instance. So that's global. It's not too hard to understand. It can be used in any object, any script, just anywhere that's code. It'll be fine. Whereas this, only within the instance. And guys, feel free while I'm talking to just ask questions. Like, that helps me a lot to understand, like, if I'm missing something or if y'all understand something, if I make something unclear. Y'all can also join me in the Project Amaranth developer streaming chat and just directly ask me with voice. That's cool too. But yeah, participation is really great for me. Anyways, the other scope, we have what's called a local variable. So putting var before a variable, so var a, var a. So var a is now going to define a as a local variable. What that means is once the current script window ends, the variable's gone. So for instance, if I put a is equal to 10, man, I get that semicolon habit from C++. I can't be like if a is equal to 10. Like, this won't work because a is now trying to be looked at as an instance variable because it's not defined here. So it just won't work. It's not defined yet. Global vars are the same as macros, except you can change them, right? I actually haven't used macros with Gamemaker Studio 2, and if they exist in Gamemaker Studio 1, I've never seen it, to be honest. Probably yes. I'm not gonna say yes or no, but seeing as I've never used them before. But yeah. You might be thinking of enums. Yeah, you probably will. Show me. Holding back, waiting to stream. DRM. Holding back, waiting to scream at the desk. DRM. What is DRM? Oh, okay, never mind. He's talking about something else. I just totally. Okay. Alright, so that's variable scope. You got your instance, global, and local variables. We primarily use local variables in scripts. It's just easier to like have a couple number manipulations or like A, I, G, just like random letters. But yeah. So now let's go into variable types. All the variable types so far I've been using are what's Gamemaker calls real numbers, which you might be familiar with integers or doubles, which in most languages an integer is just a whole number, whereas a double is like a decimal or floating point values are also a thing. But in Gamemaker it's just one variable called the real value. So that can be, again, it could be a whole number, it could be a decimal, it could be like an infinite number. Gamemaker won't care. It all falls under the category of reals. Strings, if you know programming in general, shouldn't be too hard to learn because it's literally the same as every other language. So how about name equals Aaron? Oh, I spelled my name wrong. So now the variable is a string. And a string is basically a bunch of characters forming letters, you know, or like a word or whatever you want to do with it. They're basically just characters that you can use to print on different screens or use for, I don't know, really anything you want. A lot of times, well, all the time when you're displaying text in the game, you're going to use string values. So like draw text 0, 0, and I could put name, or I could put like Carl, stuff like that. Strings. There's a lot of things you can do with strings, and strings are really cool. You can manipulate them a lot. The next variable type is a boolean. Booleans are really self-explanatory. Boolean equals true. So in Gamemaker, it's lowercase. I'm thinking of Python or something, where it's capital. So booleans can either be true or false. It's pretty simple, explanatory. When you're doing if statements, you can be like if boolean equals true, or in general you can actually just do if boolean, and it'd be like if, and then this will return true, for example. Booleans are just really nice. You can do a lot of cool stuff with those. Usually you'll be, if you're creating an actual boolean, you'll either set it true or false, or you can be like name equals to Carl. So now boolean will be false because this statement here will return false, so boolean equals false. But yeah, variables in general. These are like basic variables you'll see in pretty much any programming language. Sometimes they're split up, like again, the real value is a lot of times integer, floats, and doubles. But I kind of like it. In Gamemaker, it's just like, there you go, a real number. What's kind of cool about Gamemaker that some languages don't allow you to do is I could change boolean to equal, well, 5 or Carl. So basically this will change boolean, the variable boolean's type to a string. So like easy switching of types. And you can compare, like right now it's a boolean again because it'll be false. I could compare boolean to Carl, like, does it equal Carl? No, false doesn't equal Carl. You know, for example. Yeah. Alright, so any questions on those kind of things? We have a couple more variable types I want to go over, but like, do y'all got any questions? I showed what I meant about the macros. Here, let me go check it out. You can post these in like the coding chat. This is a macro this. Okay. We've got, yeah, these are like enums, sort of. Yeah, I think I would classify these as enums. This is what, or similar to enums. This is what I use in code. Yes, okay. Yeah. These are pretty much exactly enums. Yeah, so macros are a good way to, or a good variable type to use. So instead of like 10, that could be like, if I had a macro of left set up like he has, it'd be like a equals left, but I don't, so it's not gonna work. Alright, a couple more variable types. We have, there's arrays, so I could do name equal, or name 0 equals, and I'm gonna go and get rid of the original. Or actually, usually when I'm defining an array, I like to set it to what's called none first, which I think is just equals to -1 or something like that. But yeah, since Gamemaker allows data type changes just on the fly, you can set it to none if your array doesn't, like, if you're initializing an array. But you don't really need to. This is primarily like if this code is somewhere else and might not run. But yeah, you'll see that sometimes. So, if you're unfamiliar with arrays, they're basically a way to store multiple values inside one variable. So like name, if you call the 0 position, will return Aaron. If you call the 1 position, will return Carl. If you return the 2nd position, it will call Charlie. What's interesting about arrays also is they can have multiple variable types too. So you can set this to 10. I can set the 4th one to be false, and boom. Gamemaker doesn't care. Like, it's nice. There's some languages that do that also, but like, good job, Gamemaker. You can actually create what's called double arrays. So we could do, yeah, name. Actually, let's get rid of some of these. Oh, I full screened it somehow. No, I didn't. Never mind. I'm dumb. I just got rid of the bottom bar and I don't know where it went. Hey, can you guys see like my code and stuff? Like, is it visible? Good resolution. All right, we got. Okay, so double arrays. So instead of 0, I can do 0, 0. And so this would be 1, 0, 2, 0. Name 0, 1 equals false. Name 0, 2 equals 10. So now I'm setting up like, this could be used for like player data. Aaron, Carl, and Charlie, here's some variables for them. And probably wouldn't be name anymore, it'd probably be character. 20, that seems more realistic. Name 2, 1 equals false. Name 2, 2 equals 5. Let's just assume the 2nd variable is like their health or something. Characters. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, this is good enough. Name. Characters. Alright. So there's a good example of how you can use like a double array to store a lot of data. There's a couple more array or variable types. Here's one that you'll probably never use. Pointers, or pointer equals. I actually don't even know how to use these. I've never used them in Gamemaker. In other programming languages, you use like an @ symbol and then like a different variable, so like Boolean. So that'll point towards Boolean. I don't know. Again, you probably won't be using this. They're primary for some specific functions, like getting a texture or a buffer address from memory or another function. Do we got any people in chat? Hey, readable person, why don't you hop in voice chat? Or anybody. I'm lonely in here. The developer streams, LG Dragon. Anyways, one of the last types here is an enum. I like to go to my room. Oh no, room here. Well, and it should be create code. I like to set up my enums and create code in the first room, but you can set it up wherever. So it can be like enum, and I'm gonna use my Project Amaranth example. Element. What was it? Enum element. Let's see. Fire, water, grass, nature. Boom. So enum. Did that work? It did work. Awesome. So enums are cool. So basically what it's going to do is auto-generate a value for each. So fire is probably going to be 1, water is going to be, fire is going to be 0, water 1, and nature 2. So for Aaron, I can set his character 03. Ooh, characters. 03. I can set his element to element.fire. And we'll do the same thing for everybody else. We'll set this person to nature. And let's set this last person to water. Green, red, blue. Yeah. Do y'all have any questions on variable types before I move on to other things? There is one more type of variable. Or there's a couple more, but there's like none of them we really use anymore. Or we ever use. This one we do use sometimes. Undefined. Undefined. So lowercase and dumb. I mean, I think this one's equal to -4. But yeah, so sometimes you'll want to return like an object or something, and if it doesn't exist or something, then it doesn't. Then you can return undefined, or like if you're returning a certain variable. So is none and undefined the same? None and undefined are not necessarily the same thing. Undefined. Okay, from my understanding, it's just coming to me now. From my understanding, undefined is its own variable type. It might equal -4 though if you convert it to a real. I know none is probably equal to -1. False is 0. True is 1. So yeah. But anyways, a lot of times I return none instead of undefined, but it depends on the situation. But yeah. Coolio. Let's move on. Unless there's more questions. What do we got? What can... I'm trying to understand, but I can't. Oh no! Is there something that's confusing? Like, perhaps you haven't had much programming experience before? Which voice chat are you talking about? You're not even in it. Well, I'm sorry that you're having trouble understanding some of it. I'm trying to explain it the best I can, but if there's something that's confusing you, just like ask away and I'll try to help. I am kind of going fast. Like, if you have never taken a programming course and have no programming experience, I don't expect you to be able to comprehend a lot of this right away. I'm trying to make it as easily accessible for beginners as possible, but like, just inevitably, you need experience first beforehand. Just move on. Okay. But yeah, hopefully if you understand more later, you can come back and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. Anyways, what can we use a variable for? So one thing that I really like about Gamemaker, and I guess most programming languages that have object-oriented programming, is you can set a variable to an object, or a sprite, or a camera, or sound. So for instance, I can do instance create, let's do layer, and I'm gonna just plop it down 0, 0. I don't know what the ID of the layer is, let's just pretend it's 0. And let's do object cool. So, I mean, obviously this will create an object cool at 0, 0. But what I can do is I can set a variable, let's say object, equal to it. Because this naturally returns said object. So now I have it inside a variable. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
He's crawling on the ground. Oh, spooky. So you can be like object name equals fun. I don't know. That's not a name. Object coolness. I don't know. You can directly modify this object, where you'd be like with object name equals Aaron. I don't know. It's kind of cool what you can do with this kind of stuff. So you can be like image index equals, and let's make a new sprite. Sprite equals. You can do like, let's create a new sprite. Sprite square. I don't care what it's called. Sprite square. it's invisible for now. Don't worry about it. So it can be like sprite equals sprite square. Boom. And then I can be like image index equals other.sprite. So the reason I'm using other in this case is because I'm in the with statement. There's no variable called sprite inside this object here. So I'm using other to reference this object that we're currently in. Anyways, if this was a local var variable though, you wouldn't have to do that. You could just do sprite. It should turn yellow here. There it goes. Yeah, so you can tell that it would work because it's yellow. But anyways, cool stuff. Just move on. So, okay, no one's got questions. Gotcha. Oh, you eating? Yeah. But yeah, so you can set variables to all types of things. So I could do a sound equals sound something. I could do cameras. Camera 1 equals camera create. Boom. Cameras are pretty cool. Because we just recently upgraded to Gamemaker Studio 2, and I had to learn cameras. They're actually really nice and very easy to use. But anyways, we'll go over cameras some other time. Billion.
Hey, what's up?
False. Actually, we just get rid of that. All right. So what are we on to? Anyone got questions about that stuff for now? What's on
Can you hear me, Aaron?
Oh, we got someone in chat?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, you need to turn up the volume here. No, it's David O. Yeah, Real Bill, can you talk?
Yeah.
Sweet. It's Real Bill. No, I know it's him, dude. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I have about like an hour.
Yeah.
So, Fahad, I'm guessing that's how you say your name. There's a tutorial sort of series that I learned how to do stuff on GameMaker. So like, with this, you're kind of going fast and kind of lightly going over things, but it might help you slightly more, or just a generic course. So I don't know if I have the option to link it in chat, but I could do it in the Discord server of what I used. And then I'm still learning from what Aaron's doing too.
Heck yeah. You can make. Alright, so what we're doing now, we've got. Okay, so I have this whole section of built-in variables. GameMaker has a lot of built-in variables per object or just in general. And I'm only going to go over just the primary ones that are useful. I'm sure you'll find uses to other ones later, but like these are the primary ones. And then let's see. So our first one on the list is for scripts. This is the only one that's like dedicated to scripts. So let's say if I make in GameMaker, you kind of like have these little description stuff now. So it'd be like description script 0. Let's give it some parameters like name, value. I don't know. Param name, param value. Okay, so these are one of the only built-in variables for scripts, which is the argument variable. So it'd be like name is equal to argument 0, or value is equal to argument 1. You could do some manipulation with them. Let's do return value plus, I don't know, something like that. But anyways, so these are the built-in variables, and you can tell because they're green. These are not variables you can change for the most part. Some built-in variables you can, but a lot of them, like these, I don't think you can really manipulate. With scripts, though, there's two types of argument variables, actually. There's your normal argument 0 and argument 1, and then there's just plain out argument. An argument is basically an array of the arguments. So it can be like argument 0, argument 1. if you use it without the array form, then you're making it a required argument. If you're using it with the array form, you're meaning it can be a variable number of arguments. So with it like this, I could do script 0 and just put in name, and then it'll accept it. Although my current code will throw an error because, well, it's looking for argument 1 and that just doesn't exist. So you could be like, if argument count is greater than or equal to, how about 2? Whoops. Do that. Else value equals 0. And that one throw an error. Be all Gucci now. Alright. Just gonna get rid of that. Alright. Scripts, variables. Okay. Here's a couple of general variables. These don't apply to instances. These are just, you can access them anywhere. So, instance count. I don't use it too often, but it could be useful. Instance count and instance ID. So the first one is referring to how many instances you have in the room, how many objects are placed, for example. Whereas instance ID is an array of all of those objects. So if you did 0, that would be the first instance placed in the room, just for example. But yeah, these to me aren't too useful unless you're like trying to go loop through or search all the current instances in the room. You could use these for that. Be like, for var I equals 0, I is less than instance count I plus less. Be like, all right, we could do with, and I believe you can just do with instance ID. And that'll just access it directly. Value equals 0. I don't know. Whatever, something like that. Kind of a coolio thing. Let's see. Keyboard strings are one of the most useful ones, in my opinion. Keyboard string. So the entire time your game's running, maybe resets on room load. I don't think so though. The entire time your game's running, keyboard string will update for every key press you have. So if you just start typing in like cool or something, that's what'll appear here. Ooh. Let's see what we got. Here's a link to the, oh yeah, the little tutorial stuff. Alright, so yeah, keyboard string's just useful for input. So you could be like, this button or the value of this button is equal to keyboard string, and just have it like have the user type in whatever values they want for it. Basically just user input is what that's for. Oh, and it's string values. Alright. Mouse X, mouse Y. These are pretty self-explanatory. Basically, it's the current X and Y position in your game. Not relative to GUI or anything, but like actual physical room position. You know, you could post it there too. Oh, triangle, yeah, okay. Rusty pals. So that's where you are, okay. Mouse X, mouse Y, pretty self-explanatory, there's not much going on there. Room, sometimes I use. Room basically gives the ID, or the index of the current room. So you can use something like room next room. So it'll look at the current room and return the one that's after it. And I'm referring to like sequence, like on the right here. So if there was a room after it, it would return that room. Alright, a few other variables related to rooms. Room speed. This one you can set. This modifies the frames per second of your game, but it's just generally good to, like, if you want to make a game that scales based on just a variable FPS. You can do that with this. Kind of a nice way to, or not, no, not this. It's FPS that I'm thinking of. Yeah, room speed is always going to be a constant. But yeah, so, well, not a constant, but like a variable you can modify to change the room speed or the speed of the game. Last ones we got are width and height of rooms. Neural height. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. It's the size of your room. You can modify these to change the size. And that's what we use in our map editor. Thanks, Trent. I know. Alright. So, does anyone got questions related to just general, what is it called? Built-in variables, just like general built-in variables? Stream still running good?
Yeah. I checked every 5 minutes.
Okay.
So those are long for.
Well, anyways, I'm gonna assume no one's got questions, so we're gonna just move on. Skedoodle. The last actually section here I want to go over is built-in instance variables, and there's quite a bit that are useful here. Let's see. All right. Oh. So we got velocity positioning. No, it's okay. People can check out the recording of it if they want to. They should show up on time if they want to interact. That's okay. It's okay. More people show up eventually at different streams once this gets more popular or whatever. Anyways, built-in variables.
And besides, it's archives for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to like wait and have a long archive for no reason.
Also, hi stream, I also exist. I'm the guy who owns this computer.
Yes. My internet is too poop to stream, so I just don't do it at his house. Alright, so built-in variables. So these are variables that are built directly into the object. So if I access these in a different object, they should be different. So X and Y, self-explanatory, that's your positioning. You can call it or set it. This will directly, most of these object variables you can directly set and just plain out change where the object is and whatever. So yeah, X and Y, current position, X previous, Y previous, that's the last pixel it was on. These are base, like if you're drawing a, well, alright, that's not really important. Whatever. Yeah, so pretty self-explanatory about that. Friction though, so how the character moves with velocity. This is an important one. We got speed and direction. Again, shouldn't be too hard to understand. Speed is the amount of pixels per frame the character is moving, or the object. And direction is that direction that's heading. 0 being that direction, left, where, yeah, so it's left, and as you increase in direction, you got 90, 180, 270, and it resets back to 0 once it's 360. You can use these in conjunction with h speed and v speed. They're basically the same as speed and direction, but just you get it in a different form, where it's horizontal and vertical velocity. So horizontal and vertical velocity.
Which direction is positive, which direction is negative?
Horizontal positive is right, where vertical velocity positive is down.
You pointed left.
But on my stream, I pointed right.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, vertical velocity. Positive is down. So y is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, it's just how most program stuff works. Because like even this window here is like this is 0, 0, and it's drawing stuff based on that origin positioning.
Hey, if you could like open Paint or something real quick and like show arrows, that
Yeah.
kind of helps people visualize it more than just talking.
I pointed with my fingers.
Well, you know, I'm just saying that like, okay, here's your little made-up window, you know, well, because like pointing's one thing, but
And then make this like sheet.
it depends on how well the people know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Like I know what you're talking
No,
about,
but
but someone that doesn't know,
Not that.
you know, math, higher level math, maybe they need more help.
That's
There
better.
Oh,
No,
shoot.
wait, control Y. Control Y.
There we
There we
go.
go. And do.
All right.